Hello everyone, it's Taylor, and today I'm here to do my September reading wrap-up. In the month of September, I managed to read 12 books, so it was a pretty good reading month, and if you want to know more about the books I did read, keep watching because I'm going to take you through them. First up, Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colthurst, and this follows our two protagonists, Mare and Denna. Denna is a princess who is sent from a foreign country to the country where the story takes place, and she is betrothed to Mare's brother. However, Mare and Denna sort of form an unlikely friendship and end up actually falling in love with each other. And while this is all going on, there is war and rebellion breaking out in the country that they live in. So it's kind of dealing with the issues of the country on a bigger scale, as well as the struggle between Mare and Denna and if they're going to go to the next step in their relationship, even though Denna is betrothed to Mare's brother. Overall, I enjoyed the story, and I was really happy to see more diversity within the love relationship in the book. It's not clear if Denna is bisexual or if she is a lesbian. However, she is betrothed to Mare's brother. While I don't think infidelity is okay, I do appreciate that the story is about finding yourself and stepping outside of the life that you've always known to be destined. So I enjoyed reading about Denna and Mare's story, and I would recommend this book. Next up, we've got a trio of books, and this is the Selection series by Kiera Cass. So the books are The Selection, The Elite, and The One. I did manage to read this entire trilogy in the month of September. I listened to the audiobooks and I really enjoyed that format. I was able to get through them pretty quickly, like 72 hours in total, because I could not stop listening to the story. These books take place in a sort of post-apocalyptic America known as Ilia. And in Ilia, there is a monarchy, and when a prince comes of age, he must go through the selection, which is where 35 of the common girls are rounded up and basically go through sort of a futuristic bachelor situation. And through this situation, Prince Maxon meets America Singer, who is our protagonist of these three books. And they fall in love, and it's sort of a back and forth of will they, won't they. It was very angsty, very dramatic, and I couldn't put it down. Next up is the only nonfiction book on this list, and that is On Writing, a Memoir of the Craft by Stephen King. And I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna say that about probably every book in this wrap up, but this was very different of a read for me. It basically is Stephen King's sort of inside track on how to become a writer, how to become a better writer, and how to stop making excuses and just get to the story that you're trying to tell. And I found it fascinating. I think he is legendary in his writing, and after reading this, I do want to pick up more of his fiction works. In the month of September, I also read Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and I've talked about this in several videos, so I won't spend too long on it, but basically it is a prequel of how the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland became the Queen of Hearts. In the beginning of the story, she starts off as Catherine, or Cath for short, and we go through the story with her and figure out exactly how she did lose her heart and become the evil villain queen that we know from the Alice in Wonderland story. I loved this book. I seriously couldn't put it down, and I was just so swept up in all of the characters and the world. If you do like Alice in Wonderland book or movies, whatever it may be, I would highly recommend this because it was enjoyable to get back into that world and to hear some of the familiar creatures and characters. I did love this book and I would highly recommend it. Next up, we've got Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, and this is another one that I have talked about quite a bit as well. So again, not going to spend too much time on it. This is from the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and it is the first book in the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. I Definitely flew through this one as well. Once I started reading, the story was addictive. The characters are so amazing and you just get attached to them right away. If you haven't read any of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, I would highly recommend getting into all of the series, which are the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, and now this series, the Dark Artifices. In the month of September, I also read 2 ebooks, so obviously I don't have the physical copy here to show you, but I will insert a picture of the cover into the video so that you can see what I'm talking about. The first ebook is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, and this is one I have been meaning to read for quite some time. A couple years ago, I watched the movie adaptation before I actually knew that it was a book series, so since then I have been meaning to read this. I did enjoy the story. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads, so it was like a solid like. It's definitely a sort of teen high school drama. There are vampires. I believe that it was written in that time period of like just after Twilight came out and the vampire craze was all the rage. So it definitely feels like it's from that era of writing, but I'm enjoying the story so far. I finished the first one. I've also finished the second one, but that'll be in the October wrap up. And I've started the third one. So I'm getting through the series. And if you want some quick, entertaining, but not too heavy reads, I would recommend them. The second ebook that I read this month is like on the complete opposite scale of the Vampire Academy. This one is The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman, and it is a very, very sad book. Another book to movie adaptation, though I have not seen the movie. I did want to read the book because eventually I do want to watch the film. So the story is that we've got Tom. He is a lighthouse keeper in Australia, I believe it is. And this is sort of in a post-World War II era. Now, Tom goes to shore one day and meets Isabel. They fall in love, they get married, they move together out to the lighthouse island. Tom and Isabel very much want a child, but they go through a series of miscarriages, stillbirths, and just coming off the heels of Isabel's latest stillbirth, a boat washes up to the shore of their island. And in that boat is a dead adult man and a baby who is still alive. Now, in their grief, they sort of come up with this plan that the baby's parents must be dead, the mother must have been lost at sea, and it's their duty from God to take care of this baby who has no one. That's the basic premise of the story. I will say it was a very sad read. Obviously, you're dealing with some very heavy topics, and I enjoyed it, I guess. It's hard for me to say that I don't like a book, but it was kind of a so-so read for me. Again, I think that has to do with the subject matter and how sad it was. It's not a book with a happy ending, so if you want to read it, just prepare yourself for that. The next 3 books I read this month are actually all by the same author, and that is Leigh Bardugo. And the first one is 6 of Crows. This is the first book in a duology, and it introduces our 6 characters who make up a ragtag bunch of criminals. And these 6 characters are trying to pull off a heist. They are sneaking into enemy territory to find a scientist who's come up with a new drug that they're trying to stop from getting out onto the mass market. Cass Brecker is the leader of this group of kids, and he is such a well-written character, as well as every character that Leigh Bardugo writes. The other 5 characters in this group, they are very complex, great characters, people that you immediately fall in love with, even though they're not perfect, and they are criminals and spies and various, nefarious type creatures. So I did love the story, and it's one of those books that once you pick it up, you cannot put it down. And immediately once I finished 6 of Crows, I went on to the second book of the duology, which is Crooked Kingdom. And this basically covers all of the fallout and craziness that ensues from the heist in the first novel. Again, I loved it. I think I gave both of these a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Like I said, I think Leigh Bardugo can do no wrong when it comes to her stories. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. Last but certainly not least is Shadow and Bone, which is another Leigh Bardugo book. This is actually the first book in a trilogy, the Grisha trilogy, or Grisha depending on how you pronounce it. And this book follows Alina Starkov, who is our main character. Now, I personally read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom before I started this book, but I would probably recommend doing it the opposite way. I would read the Grisha trilogy and then go into the Six of Crows duology, just because there are some characters introduced in the trilogy that then come back up in the duology. And while there are no major spoilers that I've seen so far, I think it would help to have a better knowledge of the Grisha trilogy characters going into the Six of Crows novels, just because it also sort of builds the world and you understand a little bit more about the political things happening in that duology and why the world is the way that it is. I definitely enjoyed Shadow and Bone. It was another 5 out of 5 rating for me. I love this entire Grisha world that is being set up, and the characters again are amazing, very dense, very well written. Alina Starkov is an amazing protagonist and just someone that you want to read more about. You want to stick with her and see how her story is going to end, and I can't wait to finish the trilogy. There you have it. That was my entire September wrap up. Like I said, I read 12 books this month. Let me know some of the books that you read in the month of September and if you enjoyed them or if I should read them as well. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did like it, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos from me. The first one is I love everything I've read of hers. What am I trying to say? What is the point I'm trying to make here? And that is Shadow and Bone. It's so pretty and golden.